Well, welcome to this edition of Paperback Expert Author Insight Series. I'm Michael DeLon, president of Paperback Experts, America's leading authority in positioning experts for business growth. We're talking today with Sam Sellers, who is the author of Finding Freedom at Home, and we're looking forward to learning how he's using his book to position himself as the expert in his market, to set himself apart and serve more clients and grow his business. So, Sam, welcome to the call.
Well, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. I'm glad we got connected. Hey, tell us, give us a little personal background on you. Who are you? What's your background? And then tell us a bit about your business and the location that you're in.
Well, I've been working with older adults for probably the past 2 decades. I'm a veteran. I've served in both Afghanistan and Iraq. I'm a family guy. I think of myself as somewhat well-rounded.
So how long are you married and children?
Married, 2 boys, 13 and 10. The 13-year-old thinks he's 21. The 10-year-old thinks he's 15. So it's always a challenge, but a great joy.
It is, boy. What a wonderful stage of life that is. Well, good.
Yes. Yeah.
And you run a company here there in Little Rock, Arkansas, right?
I'm in Little Rock. I own a private duty home care company, and what that is, we assist older adults in their homes. It's I tell folks that we're not the alternative to assisted living or other facilities. We're the first choice of older adults, and so my company makes it a reality by placing one of my employees in the home and helping out with their activities of daily living.
Wow, so that's very cool. So you're letting them stay in their home versus going somewhere else, and I'm sure that relieves a lot of stress and burden off the extended family as well.
That's correct. I'd be hard pressed to think of any more rewarding profession.
Wow, very cool. Always great when you love what you do. Well, talk to us a little bit, with all of the marketing options that you have available to you. You've been doing this a very long time. Why did you decide to become an author and publish your own book?
Well, I'll tell you. A few years ago, I came to the conclusion that most all home care agencies, my competitors and myself alike, we basically all say the same thing. In all our marketing materials, we're practically shouting that we're all the same. And I knew that wasn't the truth. So I wanted to publish a book that would give families the information and resources they need as they explore their home care options. That's, in a nutshell, why I did what I did.
So just as a way to be a better resource to clients, prospects, and just people who are interested in knowing that day is probably coming for maybe their parents. Because what you do, your industry is kind of a complex industry for those of us who are outside of it, and it's like a big maze. And so you wanted to give people kind of a guided tour through that maze and give them the information and help them know what questions to ask.
Yeah, that's correct. I knew what questions. We've heard them. We hear them every week. We knew the questions. We wanted to give them solid answers, and not specifically directing them to us, but give them the answers and the information that they could use to make the best decisions that they could under their circumstances.
Well, that's great because when you do things like that, when you become the resource of information, people start to trust you, and they start coming to you with other questions. And when you have that kind of position, it just raises you in their minds and causes them to like you better and to really trust you better. And you and I both know that, especially in your industry, but in most industries, trust is the key factor in causing somebody to do business with you or not. And when you can build trust by giving information like you've done, it takes you a long way down the road to eventually making that sale.
Yeah, that's right. I was asked recently. Someone asked, "Well, how do people respond?" When I place a book in their hand, as opposed to maybe my brochure or a business card, and I I thought of an analogy. You know, we've all eaten at a Mexican restaurant, and it's almost routine that as you sit down, you know, the chips and salsa are set there as a kind of a free appetizer. It's the norm.
Right.
But imagine this: as you sit down, instead of or in addition to the chips and salsa, you get the guacamole, the queso, some drinks, a couple free tacos. You know, it's something different. That restaurant would stand out in your mind. Well, that in effect is what we're doing. We've still got our brochures, but the book is the everything else. And I'll tell you, folks are impressed. That they're immediately convinced, and I can't stress that too strongly. That they're immediately convinced that when they get that they're dealing with an agency that's just head and shoulders above our competitors.
And that's the key right there, is you're positioning yourself head and shoulders above somebody else, above all your competitors, really, because in your market, how many of your competitors have their own book?
No one has their own book. I mean,
right.
We're it, and we know, and we specifically and strategically use the book to position ourselves as the expert in our market. You know, we'll as folks are exploring different options, and they discover my book, and sometimes that discovery is through a referral source giving the book to them. The search is over. It's my agency that they call for the information and advice, and it's ultimately my agency that they want serving their loved one.
It's always good to be in that first position, because then everything they do, even if they go to other agencies or do other research, they're comparing them against you, and you set the standard with the information that you provided them. Tell us some of the ways that you've used your book. You mentioned some referral agencies. What have you done there, and just some other simple ways that you've used your book?
Well, let's see. Golly, we've certainly with referral sources. That's a key ingredient to our strategy. We'll share the book with referral sources, and really when they give when a case manager or a nurse or social worker hands my book to someone in need, it's really comes across as a third party endorsement. And but from that case manager's, from that referral source's psychology, they're not directly referring your agency. It's more of in their mind, a soft referral. But the reality is they can give my book and everyone else's brochure, and what do you think gets thumbed through and read at night? We also we'll share the book with prospects that are looking at different options. We've used some Facebook postings where folks can call us for a free book or just reply to a post. You know, I want a copy of that. I'm interested. So we try to go far and wide with getting the book out there and using it to position us in such a way that we're without competition.
Great. Now, you mentioned something in that you've made your book available for people through Facebook or whatever as for free, that you send them a free copy. Unpack that a little bit and explain, why do you do it that way versus selling your book to people?
Yeah, well, good question. I'll tell you, it's on a per book basis. You know, we've through the years we've given away coffee mugs and calendars and emery boards, wooden nickel, you name it. We've given it away. Without exception, the return on investment, or the ROI on all of those marketing gadgets, trinkets, is negative. With the book, you know, we were able to get it at a cost that the book is a giveaway with value, with intrinsic value, something that they're actually looking for. They may use that coffee mug, or they might not. They're going to read the book, and they're going to share it with other folks. We do it for free, you know, quite simply because it's the information they need, and we feel like when they're armed with valuable information, they'll make better choices. and we know we know that oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, that decision points back to us as the service provider.
Right. Now, in your book, I don't think you have any real blatant calls to action per se, like, stop what you're reading, call me right now, or go to my website or something. You structured your book to be more of an information piece. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I think the one of the most popular, what people tell me, one of the most popular aspects of the book is we have real life stories from real people we've served, and we those are sprinkled throughout the book so that folks can see, yes, I'm not alone. There's someone else in my position, and the inference there is that we were at least part of the solution, helping these people meet their needs. But no, there's no overt call to action or call Sam for your home care needs. It's more of a information, resources, and they can draw their own conclusions.
Right, and so many times, what I have found is when there are some blatant calls to action in a book, it gives it the wrong tone. Because when you think of experts, whether it's your heart surgeon or maybe your oral surgeon or something, they're there to provide information, guidance, counsel, because they are coming from a place of authority. They're guiding you with information and giving you the information you need to make a wise choice. And when you write your book and you don't have those calls to action, that you're just laying the information out there, subconsciously people read that and you get the nod of affirmation and you get those calls without having that direct call to action. Here, go here, do this, and it's all about building trust.
And that's precisely the way we wanted to position ourselves. All of the brochures and typical routine marketing materials are in effect calls to action. We didn't want the book to do that. Now, have we used it to get referrals? Certainly, and it's worked. And we'll give those free copies at health fairs and other venues, and the call to action is much more subtle, but it happens, and people tell us that they're getting the information they need in the book, and it's of terrific value to them. So it's really a win-win situation for all of us.
That's good, and the word you use right there, it's a terrific value to them. People perceive a book as having intrinsic value. It has a price on the back of it, and they can buy it on Amazon if they want or other places. But compared to a brochure, in the mind of a prospect, a brochure really doesn't have much intrinsic value, but a book does, right?
No, absolutely. And like I say, most brochures, and virtually any industry, I mean, if you were selling tires, well, every tire company is basically going to say the same thing. We make great tires. Call us for your great tires. A brochure is fairly generic, whereas we wanted to provide value that in turn pointed to us as the people who could build on that value through our services.
Great. That's excellent. Tell us, do you have any favorite stories of how you've been able to use your book to gain a new client or something of that nature?
Yeah, I'll tell you a favorite story. I guess one of my favorite stories is a visit I had with a family that was looking at every home care option available. I mean, by the time I sat down with them, they had practically met with all of my competitors. I knew that because I saw my competitors' brochures and folders sitting on a coffee table. So when I handed the daughter a copy of my book, and she saw my name on the cover, she replied, and this is almost verbatim, she says, well, the decision's made. You wrote the book on home care. We're going with your agency. Now I'll tell you the funny thing about that. The first time it happened with this particular family, I thought, wow, that's pretty awesome. But I'll tell you that the funny thing is that scenario has repeated itself really quite often. And the reason is the book really positions my agency, me, in a different league. So
Yeah.
that's got to be my favorite story.
That's great. I love that. And, that resonates with what we're trying to do, is positioning you as the expert. And in our culture, our society, experts have books. And everybody wants to work with the expert. And so that's a beautiful story. And as you said, it's repeated itself time and time again. So you start to think about the value of a book to you, the business owner, and the return on investment that it's brought to you. Would you say that the book has paid for itself, the investment that you've made in it?
Oh, absolutely. And you're absolutely correct. The value is both to the recipient, the person that's reading the book, and very, very clearly to me. I've more than made back my initial investment. And in fact, it probably only took a single client to do that. And now we've all but eliminated our branded coffee mugs and things like that from our marketing budget. But because the book, the ROI on the book it's off the charts, and will continue to show a return, for years to come. There's some shelf value in a book as opposed to a brochure or a coffee mug.
Yeah, that's great. And then the shelf life is a great word, because your book will stay around. I mean, you give it to that family, you leave, their book your book is still there. They're still having a conversation with you after you've left, because they're reading your book. It's on the end table. It's in the kitchen. It's all around. So every time they see that book, it brings up, we need to talk with them. And you're right. Your book, from your perspective, isn't going to be changed very much. It's going to last many years. You may be using the same book 5 years from now, and just recouping and taking your ROI to a new level over and over again, because you fine tune it. And I think what you've alluded to is that your book becomes the cornerstone of your marketing. It can become the things that you talk about on Facebook. You can take some information and content out of your book and write emails or Facebook posts or blog posts from that. So it's a way to multi-purpose your book content in a variety of ways, as you've mentioned a little bit with the Facebook post. Have you done other similar type things with the content that you've done in your book, and emails or things of that nature?
Well, one interesting aspect of health fairs or other big gatherings of a lot of people together. One thing that we do, we'll bring, you've got your display table and whatnot, and on that is typically your brochures and your coffee mugs, whatever you're giving away. Well, we'll put one or two books out, and along with some other things, but one or two books, and people we'll have them give us their name and address and phone number, and we'll mail them a copy for free. It's amazing. I talk to other vendors at these types of fairs, and they say, you've always got people almost lined up at your booth, and you're capturing the data that we want. We want to know who these people are and how to reach out to them later. And I said, it's a magnet almost, that they'll come to me because I'm sharing value with them. I'm receiving value from them, which is their contact information, and so maybe I can, help out in other ways in the future. We've also, I'll tell you another strategy we've tried, and that is in hospital waiting rooms. I didn't know if this would work, but I've put stickers on the cover, waiting room copy, and I'd put 2 or 3 books in a large waiting room, and I'll come back a week later, and they'll still be sitting there, but they'll be dog-eared. I mean, there'll be pages turned down, there'll be bookmarks, things underlined, and it's just uncanny that people want to do business with someone that they feel is the knowledgeable, the expert in their field, and so we are always continuously looking for other avenues to use the book to position us in that way.
That's great. What a wonderful opportunity that is, and to think creatively of where is your client currently? Who currently has your client, and putting yourself there in that waiting room? That's brilliant.
Yeah,
what has the book and being an author, has that opened any doors to you, not just for new clients, but into maybe some companies or maybe any speaking opportunities? Because, again, people like to hear this information from an expert. Have you been able to get into any organizations to be a speaker, been invited in to do anything like that?
Well, funny you should ask. As shortly after the book was out, we had it in our hands. We brought it around to case managers and geriatricians and gerontologists and whatnot. Well, shortly thereafter, I started getting phone calls. So I've been, and remember, I serve the home care needs of older adults. So a great referral source for me are case managers in hospitals and rehabilitation facilities. I've been invited to speak specifically about the book to the Case Managers Society of America, to the Gerontological Society, a number of civic organizations, churches, hospitals have called me in to do in-services with their social workers and case managers, simply because of the book. They looked at the book. They recognized the value that it carried for people in need, and they felt like the people that are interacting with those families need to hear more. So they've invited me in. It's really been exciting to see how you can use the book in your marketing and sales efforts. So yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
I've even been invited. I've been on the radio on radio and maybe television. Golly, last year, television talking about the book.
Yeah, and what would that cost to buy if you had to pay to get on TV or radio? How hard would that be? And you're getting invited to do it because you're an author.
Yeah, it's just uncanny.
It is, but that's what happens when you become a published author. Is people are excited about it. It's newsworthy, and it's unique. And from most local business owners would never have the opportunity to publish their own book because it's too expensive going the traditional route and too hard going the self-publishing route. But you found a way through Paperback Experts to streamline everything and to get the content out and become a published author and position yourself as an expert.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to tell you. You're exactly right. But you made the entire process easy. Now it's, I've written before in the past. We all have. But through the years, I've managed lots of people. I've commanded even more people in the Army. And I've been told I'm a hard person to work for. But even so, you and Caleb made the entire process, and I'm talking from start to finish, entirely painless, easy. And in the beginning of the process, I thought, I don't know anything that anybody would be interested in. I couldn't possibly write a book. But looking back, if anyone has those notions, I disagree strongly. I want to work with people who are knowledgeable in their field. And what better way to demonstrate that knowledge than with the book? So it was, and you all made it exceptionally easy.
Well, thank you. We've tried very diligently. You understand our process and our philosophy that we work with business owners, experts in their field, people like you who know you know your content forwards and backwards. And what we try to do through our Speak to Write process is help you get it out of your head onto print, and then we do all that hard work for you so that you can be serving your clients and doing what you do best and working together, partnering with you, produce a book like Finding Freedom at Home, and then helping you build strategies and marketing concepts to generate more business by attracting customers, using your book, as you've talked about many times, stimulating referrals from referral sources from satisfied customers, and being the resource that people look to when it comes to home care in your case, and positioning yourself as the expert, putting yourself in that category of one so that everybody else is compared to you, and really at the end of the day being able to serve more people because I know that's your heart, and we're thrilled to have been able to help you with it.
Well, I tell you, someone asked me, they said, how did you do that? And I said, I went to a brain surgeon. Well, let me explain. You were the brain surgeon because you were really just extracting my thoughts, my knowledge, putting it on paper, while at the same time empowering me to continue with my focus on my business. I didn't have to spend hours, days, sleepless nights working on this. You did the surgery. You extracted the knowledge. You put it on paper, and all the while encouraging me to maintain my focus on my business, because that's what I do. That's what I'm best at. And so, yeah, just can't thank you guys enough. It's been awesome, an awesome experience.
Well, I'm glad, and that's what it's all about. Is really for us is positioning experts for business growth. You're definitely an expert in your field, and your business has grown dramatically and consistently, and I believe it will continue to do that as you continue to position yourself and keep your book out there, give it to more people, have more speaking opportunities, and serve more people. That's really what it's all about. So any parting comments that you would have for anybody who's listening to this, if they're thinking about writing a book or on the fence, what would your parting comment be for them?
I just real briefly, I tell them quit thinking about it, and do it. As a kid, I dreamed of jumping out of planes. Well, when it comes time, you just have to do it. And that's what that's what you did with me. You listen, just do it. And did it? It was not not near as painful as jumping out of a plane. Probably a bad analogy, but just do it. You've got the information, you've got the knowledge, and people want it. People need it.
That's great. Well, I appreciate that. If you're listening to this and you're ready to do it, or you have some questions, just give us a call. You can go to paperbackexpert.com and click one of the left talk buttons there, and someone from our staff will be in touch with you. And we would love just to talk with you and walk you through the process that Sam has gone through and help you position yourself as the expert in your market. So thanks for listening to this edition of the Paperback Expert Author Insight Series. We should be back next month with another one. So until then, continue to proclaim your message and position yourself as the expert. Have a great day.